Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a pretty young girl who had such a big heart that she loved all sentient beings, and all sentient beings loved her back. Her grandmother, especially, had an infinite love for her, and one day she gave her a little cap of red velvet she made herself. The garment was so elegant and fitted her so well that she would never wear anything else. Therefore, everyone came to call her Little Red Riding Hood. When it was time to celebrate the spring, her mother said to her, "Little Red Riding Hood, would you like to visit your grandmother and make a little spring celebration together? She is a bit ill with winter sickness and is still resting in her bed. She'd be very happy to celebrate it with you. Take 3 nice poppy seed cakes and 1 bottle of May wine. It will do her good. Go now, before it gets hot. And don't forget to make 1 offering to the river and 1 to the forest. Kiss your grandmother for me and see if you can help her in any way." "I'll do as you ask," Little Red Riding Hood promised her mother. Then she kissed her goodbye and left. Now a little walk was needed to get to her grandmother's house, so she went on, trotting merrily, her cap fluttering in the wind. Her songs were echoing around her, thus rejoicing the little folk of the woods and meadows. When she arrived at the river, Little Red Riding Hood stopped and bowed. Then she gently offered to the water 1 of the poppy seed cake decorated with flowers she picked along the way. Once done, she crossed the river and continued joyfully on the opposite bank. When she arrived at the edge of the forest, she bowed in front of 2 mighty trees, and there again she offered 1 of the poppy seed cake with flowers. She had barely resumed her walk when suddenly a wolf came out of the thicket. "Good morning, Little Red Riding Hood," he said. "Good morning, Wolf," she answered calmly. "Where are you going so early?" "To Grandma. It's her who offered me my red cap." "It looks really beautiful. And what have you got in your basket?" 1 poppy seed cake and a bottle of May wine that we made together with my mom. It's to celebrate spring with Grandma and get her healthy." This all sounds awfully good. Your grandmother is very lucky to have you. Where does she live?" "Oh, not far away in the forest, near the 3 oaks. It's the house of the Golden Meadow, nestled in the hazel bush. You should know it." The wolf thought, salivating. "This looks like 2 good meals, easy to get and tasty if I trick them all right." Then he added loudly, "Such a lovely wood, isn't it? With all these pretty flowers, and you too are pretty in this morning light. You must belong to a good family to be so poised and relaxed. Oh, look there, some red flowers." Little Red Riding Hood had a look, but right at this moment, sun rays went through the branches, and she blinked, dazzled. When she reopened her eyes, the wolf had disappeared. There was only sunlight, dancing and playing with gorgeous flowers. She breathed deeply, then made a nice bouquet and smiled, thinking happily about her dear grandmother. Afterward, she went back on her way, hoping and humming. Meanwhile, the wolf hurried to the grandmother's house, sneaked around it, and knocked at the door. "Who's there?" she asked. "Little Red Riding Hood, with a poppy seed cake and a bottle of May wine for you. Let me in," answered the wolf, imitating the voice of Little Red Riding Hood really well. "Pull the bobbin and the latch will go up," cried the grandmother. "I am still a bit sick and resting in my bed." The wolf pulled the bobbin and the door opened. Without saying a word, he went straight in and up to the bed, his mouth wide open. Not even chewing, he swallowed her all at once. In order to make a perfect feast and eat the little one as well, the deceiver then wanted to disguise himself and put on one of the grandmother's nightdress and her nightcap, then got into bed as if nothing had happened and drew the curtain. After a little while, Little Red Riding Hood finally arrived at the house. How happy she was to celebrate the spring with her dear grandmother. But when she was about to knock at the door, she had a strange feeling. Had she just opened the door, or was it already open? She cried, "Good morning," but received no answer. She entered anyway, drew the curtain back, and went to the bed. There lay her grandmother, under a huge quilt, and with her nightcap down over her face. She looked wonderfully odd, so much so that Little Red Riding Hood wondered if her senses were playing her up. "Oh, Grandma, what big ears you've got," she said. "The better to hear you breathe, my dear." "Oh, Grandma, what big eyes you've got." "The better to see you with, my dear." "Oh, Grandma, what big hands you've got." "The better to hug you with, my dear." "Oh, Grandma, what a big mouth you've got." "The better to eat you with." Hardly had the wolf said this, that he made a spring out of bed, the mouth wide open and salivating, ready to eat her alive. But the garment of Little Red Riding Hood shone with a mighty red, for it had been woven by an infinite love. Thus, all the illusions suddenly fell apart, revealing the wolf as he truly was, without any deception. Little Red Riding Hood ran away, letting everything behind her. The wolf was still stunned, got entangled in the sheets, then banged the door, groaned in pain, and finally could throw himself after her with a sore body and a belly rather too full. He ran as fast as he could with his 4 big furry legs, and soon he could see Little Red Riding Hood running into the forest. He called out, "Ancient mother trees, made of strong bark and wind, close yourself on her, do not let her pass." But the ancient mother trees remembered Little Red Riding Hood very well and did nothing to her, quite the contrary. They moved away to let her pass at ease and gently blew into her back so that she would go even faster. When it was the wolf's turn to pass by them, the trees got closer and stretched out their big gnarled roots. The wolf stumbled, cursed, growled, but was back in a snap, chasing her again with his panting tongue and his evil eyes. He caught up with her once more near the river and called out, "River of the two worlds, rise your water from the depth, do not let her pass." But the river remembered Little Red Riding Hood very well and did nothing to her, quite the contrary. The water went down in order to let her cross easily, and when it was the wolf's turn to cross, the river suddenly burst its banks and took him away with all its might. The river only calmed down when the wolf was drawn once and for all. Then from deep underneath, another body popped back up to the surface, that of the grandmother who was gently left on the bank. Her eyes opened slowly, and when she saw Little Red Riding Hood smiling at her, she smiled too. Thus, after all these trials, Little Red Riding Hood came back to her mother's home along with her dear grandmother. The three of them together celebrated the spring with lots of laughter, dancing, few poppy seed cakes, some delicious May wine, and an infinite love. It was Little Red Riding Hood, adapted and told by Relax Petso, inspired by the fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm, as well as the one by Charles Perrault, by La Finta Nonna by Italo Calvino, and Egbert de Liège's De Puella a Lupellis Servata, an 11th century tale. Thank you to all grandmothers, to all mothers, and to all the children.